Hey guys, I'm Marcus. Welcome to another series. So in this series, I'm going to show you how you can create your Firebase database with using Firebase Console. It's a very useful function given by Google. So in the Firebase Console, you can actually create your authentication method. You can create users with your email and password, and also you can also make use of the storage to store the image. And for example, you can also make use of the real-time database to store your data, and then this database is actually updated in real time. As soon as you're trying to upload some data to this database, it will reflect it immediately. So in this database, you can basically create your child and your key and whatever fields that we want to have with the value. And also there is also a Cloudflare store in which I will recommend you to use this if you have a really large amount of information which you want to have a better organization. So it will be preferred to use this Cloudflare store, but don't worry, I will also going to show you how you can actually do make use of this Cloudflare store, set it up, and then trying to upload your data to here. So if you want to understand more about what's the difference between real-time database and the Cloudflare store, feel free to look at the documentation. I will also put it in the description below. So basically, for the real-time database is for simple data that is very easy to store. But then if you have a very complex hierarchical data at a large scale, so it would be recommended to use Cloudflare store with sub-collections. So the data is basically stored in documents, which is very similar to JSON. Without further ado, let's look at how we can set up a Firebase project, and then we start to explore this functionality in Python script. So the first thing that you have to do is create a Python file which is called authentication.py. So in this tutorial, I'm going to cover authentication. And first thing that you would like to do is to import Pyrebase. So if you haven't actually download Pyrebase on your computer, you can actually go to Pyrebase tree, I believe, and then so what you need to do is just pip install Pyrebase tree in your command prompt window. So just need to do pip install Pyrebase tree, and then I've already did that. If you haven't do it, just go ahead and do it so that we can import the Pyrebase module. And so Pyrebase module actually will help us to access basically this functionality like authentication, real-time database, and storage in the Firebase console. And for Cloudflare store, I will use another package later, but I'm going to show you in the next couple of videos. But for now, just go ahead and pip install Pyrebase tree and come back to your script. So import Pyrebase, and then we are going to say config equal to something. So how do we get our config? So in order to get your config, just go back to your Firebase project and a new project. So enter any project name. For example, I'm going to say Firebase tutorial, and then continue, and then create project. So it will take some time to create the project for you, and we're just going to wait for a while until it's finished, and then we are just going to continue from there. So you can actually get your config information inside your Firebase project, and this is what you need in order to initialize your Firebase app So yeah, my project is ready, and I'm just going to click continue. So the first thing that we want to do is create an app. So what I will do is I will click this button, add an app, and then I will simply just put a web app name. I will put the same as Firebase tutorial app, and then I will register the app. And then you can see actually we will have our Firebase config here. So I'm just going to copy paste this and then paste it here. So I will change I will change come on. Yep. I will change this to string. And then I will go back here to continue to the console. So you can see that one app has been created. And the next thing that we want to do is to go to authentication. And then we want to set up our sign-in method. So we would like to enable the email and password. Of course, there are other sign-in providers that you can use, but for this tutorial, we are just going to use the email and password method. And then enable it, save it. After that, go back to your user. You can see that there is no user for the moment, but I'm going to show you how you can create it so that we can get the correct authentication. So next, go back to your Pyrebase. So unable to import Pyrebase, I want to change this to Python 3.8.2. Okay, because that is where I install my Pyrebase 3. And the next thing that we are going to say is Firebase is equal to Pyrebase dot initialize apps, and then we're going to put the config here. So we want to get the reference to the authentication service, so I'm going to say auth is equal to firebase.auth. And then now we want to start to create a user and our password. So in order to do that, I'm going to say create user, and then your email is equal to the email that you want to put. For example, I'm just going to say test@gmail.com, and then my password is equal to 1 2 3 4 5 6. So it is a minimum of 6-digit password. If you put less than that, it will give you a warning. And then we are just going to say auth.create user with email and password, and then we put our email and password. So if you go ahead and run that, when it is finished, if you go back to Firebase Console, refresh it, yep, we're going to get our email and the user UID set up. So it's very simple. And the next, I'm going to show you how you can sign in with this information, and then we're going to get the user ID token and get account information. So in order to do that, so next I'm going to create one more user with the actual email that I will be using, and then after that we are going to sign in order to get the user ID token. So I'm going to change this test@gmail.com to learn data science skill@gmail.com, and then password is also 1 2 3 4 5 6. and go ahead and run this. And for the same, we are going to get our email to register in the authentication. Oops, it's not reflecting here. Let's refresh it again. Yeah, you can see that we have registered our email in this authentication. So the next thing that I want to do is to comment this out, and then I want to say I want to sign in. So user is equal to auth.sign in with email and password, then email password, and I want to see the user ID token. So we are also going to print the user to see what we are going to get in return. So go ahead and run that. So you can see that in the user we are going to get kind, local ID, email, display name, ID token, and expire in 3600 seconds, which is 1 hour. And then when I print out user ID token, that one is referred to this ID token. So this ID token is the key that we want to use for the authentication purpose. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is to get the account information. To get the account information, I will need to make use of this ID token. So I will comment this out, and then the next thing that I want to say is I want to get the account information, and info will be equal to auth.get account info, and then I will put in our user ID token. So if you print if you print the info, you will be able to get all the information that is related to this account. Yeah, so what I get in return is local ID, email, or password, and yeah, any other thing that is related to this account. So this is useful when you're trying to create a database for your user of your web or app or any other thing. So you want to get the account information with reference to that particular user, and this is the code you are going to run to get that information. So the next thing that we probably also want to do is to send an email to the user, and then to have them to verify their email. So in order to do that, we can say verify email in auth.send email verification, and then for this we also need to pass in the user ID token. So when I run this, this email is going to receive this email account is going to receive an email from Firebase asking it to verify the email. So this is my Gmail, learndatascienceskill.com. So if I run this, maybe I just comment the print info, and then if I run this, when it is finished, I'm going to get an email here in my email account, and you can see that I received something, no reply, verify your email for project blah blah blah. If I go in, and this is the link that is sent from Firebase asking me to verify my email. So if I click that, it will say your email has been verified. You can now sign in with your new account. So this is maybe something that you want to do to your user before they can sign into your new account. And I'm going to close that and come back to our code. So now I have to show you how you can create user, how you can sign in the user, get the account information, verify the email. Then other thing that we might want to do is to allow the user to reset their email, and that is simple because we just need to say for the moment I will comment out the verified email, and then the next thing that we want to show is to reset the email, and for that you just need to say auth.send password reset email and then pass the email. So what this is going to do is to send an email to the user so that he can reset to a new password just in case he has forgotten the password that he has set previously. So if I run this in my Gmail, I'm going to receive an email from Firebase saying that follow this link to reset your password. So if I click this, it will allow me to reset my password to a new password. So here I'm just going to put in my new password, but I'm just going to keep it the same as 123456 and then save it. Password change. Alright. So the next thing that we want to do is probably to delete the account. So I've created a test account here, test@gmail.com. If I want to delete this user, it's simple because I just need to say delete account or .delete user account, and I just need to pass in the user ID token with which the user that I want to delete. So if this case, let's say I want to delete the test@gmail.com, I will change the email to test@gmail.com, and then I'm just going to comment this out and comment this out, and then I'm going to sign in the user, and then I'm going to pass the user ID token here. So this will actually help me to delete this test@gmail.com. So if I go ahead and run that, and then if I come back to my Firebase console and I refresh it, now you can see that the test@gmail.com is gone. Alright, so that is very simple. And if I come back here, the one last thing that I may want to show you is that remember that once your user has signed in, the user ID token is valid for 1 hour. So after 1 hour, before the end of 1 hour, you might want to have the user ID token to be refreshed. So to do that, we need to make use of the user refresh token. So before 1 hour expiry, I'm going to say user is equal to out.refresh user refresh token. So if I run this, we will now have a new user token. So I'm going to change the email back to the original one, learn data science skill@gmail.com, and then I'm going to show you what will be the first user ID token, and then for now I'm going to comment this out, and then we are going to compare what will be the ID token before and after the refresh. So this is our original user ID token. Then 1 hour before the user ID token expiry, if you run this code, user equal to out.refresh user refresh token, we are just going to get a new user ID token. So print user ID token. If I comment this out and comment this out, and then if I run this, oops, email not found. Wait a minute, learn data science Did I make a typo error? learndatascienceq@gmail.com. Did I delete this account? Oops, I think I have accidentally deleted this account. It's okay. I will create the account back, and then after that we're going to sign in. So if I refresh it, I have my email back. And the next thing that I want to do is comment this create user with email and password, and then print user ID tokens, and then run it again. So this is my user ID token, and then I want to comment this out, and then I want to refresh my user ID token, and then print the user ID token again. So now you can see that my new user ID token is different with the one that I have before. So make sure you run this every 1 hour before the expiry of the ID token, so that you will have the new ID token to stay put in your login. Okay, well, I think I'm going to stop here for this video, and in the next video I'm going to show you how you can set up your storage in order to upload, for example, image and download image, or probably get the image URL. So if you like my video, feel free to click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video.